I'd like to call the City Council meeting of January 20th, 2026 to order. And if we could
Stand
for the pledge.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
John?
Yes. Now we have a hearing of public concerns. Anybody's interested, step up to the podium and limit yourself to 5 minutes. Sure.
Steve Cox, Huntington Drive. I would like to request that the city send me a letter pertaining to all the details of the repair work scheduled for 2026. And this would include what is going to be done, what materials will be used, what contractors, if any, will be used. And I would appreciate that sincerely.
Is that doable, Mayor?
Is that through the whole city or just Huntington Drive?
Huntington Drive, I assume.
Huntington Drive, the Eastland Estates, I am assuming that whatever is done on Huntington Drive will be done on.
Will the county, I mean, the material's stone and tar, right?
Yeah, county engineer is gonna chip seal it. I don't know any more than that.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Do you want that sent to you?
Please, if you would.
That's what the letter's gonna state, the county engineers. If the letter's gonna state the county engineer is gonna chip seal the road, that's all the letter's gonna
Sorry,
state.
do you have his address?
I can find it.
All right. Sounds
Any
good.
contact information would be appreciated.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Have a good new year.
Yeah, you too.
You too.
Yeah, just step up to the mic and if you give us your name, please. Thank you.
Thanks for this opportunity. My name is Mike Kelly. I've been a pastor in Bryan for over 35 years. I love Bryan, Ohio. I can't imagine living anywhere else. I've worked hard to make Bryan an even nicer place over the years. I've helped plant the Grace Community Church, which has redefined how churches can be involved in the lives of the community. I've helped establish the Sanctuary Homeless Shelter and have overseen it for 32 years as both chairman and executive director. I've also helped establish the Compassion Medical Clinic, which offers free medical care to working families and the uninsured, and I continue as chairman of the board. I say all that not to brag because none of it has occurred without a lot of caring people in this city and in the county and God's incredible blessings. I say it to confirm that this is my city, and I hate to see it bad-mouthed by people. I remember the outlines and the headlines and the comments from 2 years ago, and I hope you do too. The Ohio city kicks homeless people out of church before Christmas. Bah, humbug. The city without a heart. Bryan, Ohio leaders harass a church that helps the homeless. The city that believes people are safer in the freezing cold than a heated building. The city that doesn't care about our most vulnerable. The city's actions demonstrate a lack of compassion for the homeless. Those are headlines and comments from articles that ran 2 years ago. Bryan wasn't denigrated just here, though. Those headlines come from places like Toledo and Columbus, Fox News, papers in Europe even got on the bandwagon. And don't forget social media. All of them making Bryan look like exactly what it isn't, ugly and uncaring. And I don't want to turn on my television on Friday and see Fox News talking about us negatively again. I've learned that Thursday afternoon you plan to restart this all over again. And I don't know why you would want to make that mistake twice. I've heard and read much of the court's documents, and I've also read the appellate court's decision basically telling you that you violated federal and state constitutions by your stance on Dad's Place. And let's say you find a new argument that is legal. Why keep going anyway? First of all, the headlines and the news reports will start up over again. And many of them are going to be very negative. Eventually, it will stain the city's reputation. Tourists and new business will look with a jaundiced eye at moving to Bryan, Ohio. I'm convinced that all of this is doing exactly the opposite of what you want it to do. I've heard all the safety arguments, and please forgive me or not, but I'm too cynical to believe them. This isn't about safety. It's about homeless people in Bryan, Ohio. 3 years ago, Mayor Schlade and the then prosecutor Fisher tried to get into the county's homeless shelter and close us down because they wouldn't allow any police department personnel to come help us. They felt that it was just fine that 5'0" FIBA and 5'4" Seven Sam would be going upstairs to see these people that were causing trouble and potentially violent situations without any police backup. They had no problem with that, apparently. Fortunately, Sheriff Koshart stepped up and granted us his deputies when there was a need. I believe that the powers that be, whoever they are afraid that Dad's place in the sanctuary are going to attract a bunch of drunks and bag ladies. I think that's the fear. Can I say just that maybe they should look around? Have their fears been realized? Absolutely not. The sanctuary's been there for over 30 years. Dad's place has been open 24/7 for 3 years. And not one bag lady has walked down the streets of Bryan, Ohio. And there's not been one alcoholic drunk that isn't local that has been found sleeping on the benches downtown. And what seems to escape notice is the reason. Big city homelessness is an entirely different animal than small and rural homelessness. The people in the shelter and the people at Dad's place look just like us because they are just like us. They are from around here. Big city homeless people don't want to live in a rural area. We have no services for them, we have no transportation, and we have no community of like-kind people. We don't need to fear them coming. They don't want to be here. And I'm begging you to just let this case drop. It's a dead issue publicly at the moment. I can't see any benefit of resurrecting it. The truth is that maybe 50 people in this whole city have skin in the game. The other 8,500 people don't care. This isn't about winning. This is about common sense. Stop digging that proverbial hole before it's too big for us to climb out of. Please, let it go quietly into the night. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none. Move on to item 4, Clerk Treasurer's Report.
Yes, the council's been presented with the clerk treasurer's report for the month ending December 31st, 2025. And if there are any questions on that?
I don't know if council, I checked with, and thank Pat and John, both got back with me, and they always do. I really appreciate them, you guys. But I'm not sure if council recognized the significant difference in December, and it's primarily due to, as I recall, 2 issues. Of course, our friend Wes with the wastewater department, and what we're doing there had some significant outlays, as did the fire engine piece,
Yep,
I
right.
think.
Purchase
So
of fire.
if you didn't know, those were the 2 things that kind of set December, but year-to-date, we're still doing very well. Thank you very much for that. Or, go ahead, yeah.
No, I'm just saying, you can see that if you look at the funds, you can see where the December purchases or expenses were high. And one was the fire truck and one was the wastewater construction as it moves forward.
So that being,
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
yes. Item 5. Excuse me. If you could read, Pat, and number.
This is Resolution Number 2, 2026, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for a Nature Works grant and to execute contracts as required.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
Roughly a year ago, we asked permission to apply for a NatureWorks grant. We have been awarded the grant. This is the grant agreement with the state of Ohio that the mayor enters into for us to move forward with the grant process. 75-25 grant reimbursement, $23,128 is the grant. So we're really excited to get started. Once we get this agreement back to the state, it'll be full speed ahead for a Lincoln Park Pavilion.
Good.
I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
That was Steve.
Oh, sorry. Steve?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Now move to approve?
I'll second.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Item 6, resolution, please read. And number, if you would, Pat, whenever you're ready. No hurry.
This is Resolution Number 3, 2026, a resolution to accept a $10,320 donation from various sponsors to the Parks and Recreation Department for the Fountain City Amphitheater.
Getting ready to kick off our 5th year at the Fountain City Amphitheater. As you guys are aware, expenses at the amphitheater are handled through donations from our community and businesses. In front of you is our first list, hopefully not our last list, of donors to year 5 of the Fountain City Amphitheater.
Big things planned for this year?
Yes. Just kind of the typical year. We're not doing anything different because it's the 5th year, but a variety of acts. He's got some pretty good acts coming. We'll have a big day in the park event. So yes, we're very excited for year 5.
I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I'll approve.
Second.
Mary?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to all the donors. Item number 7, if you could read and number.
This is Resolution Number 4, 2026, a resolution to accept a $2,500 donation from Mary Jane and Terry Fitzcharles to the City of Bryan Fire Department fire donations.
Good evening. We're very happy that we got this donation. We didn't ask for it. This is from the owners of the Alpine fire that we had earlier or late last year. They just wanted to thank us, and we're going to use this in our fire prevention program. We're going to earmark that specifically for it. So I appreciate their gracious donation, and hope we can do some good with it.
It's very nice of them.
Very nice gift.
Absolutely.
I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Mary?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is an ordinance. Pat, if you could read. and
Item number 8, ordinance number 3, 2026, an ordinance providing for annual appropriations for the city of Bryan for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026, and declaring an emergency. This is a list of different things that are being appropriated. Let me get my list here. I think John sent you a summary of that, but Parks Department is appropriating $18,820. Fire Department is $2,500, and they're removing the cardiac monitor. Refuse and recycling funds that are no longer are being taken care of with this appropriation. And we're adding some dollars to the wastewater plant, and communications is also, we're going to be transferring that to the electric to close out the communications department. So a total change of $19,072.26.
I move to suspend.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
John?
Yes. Item 9 is a resolution for city-owned property.
This is resolution number 5, 2026, a resolution authorizing the sale of city-owned personal property by internet auction through GovDeals.
Council, a few years ago, we started using GovDeals as another avenue to basically be able to sell city property. That can include items from the fire department, the parks department, the police department, street department, engineering, quite frankly, all of them. If we have equipment, cars are a lot easier to get rid of there. A lot of governments use it, so they're looking on those sites. During the pandemic, we were able to actually get a used ambulance on there. I know you've been successful with some cars purchasing and selling. So we are asking again annually to be able to use GovDeals as a way to be able to sell city property as needed.
I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I move to approve.
And I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes. Item 10 is a resolution authorizing city fire chief, fire department, well, whatever. Go ahead, Pat. Do your thing, Pat.
Resolution number 6, 2026, a resolution authorizing the fire chief of the city of Bryan to apply for grants for the city of Bryan Fire Department.
Good evening again. This is a list of grants that we will try to apply for, and hopefully we'll get a few here and there. Grants have kind of dried up over the last couple of years for us. Even the state Marks grant we didn't get this year, which has pretty much been an automatic. So that source is drying up even more. Just ask that you let me keep trying.
Absolutely.
I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I'll move to approve.
And I'll second.
Mary?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Item number 11, could read, Pat, the number?
Resolution number 7, 2026, a resolution authorizing the city engineer of the city of Bryan, Williams County, Ohio, to apply for the following grants: Ohio Public Works Commission, OPWC, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, and small cities through the Ohio Department of Transportation, and others for the city of Bryan, Williams County, Ohio, as necessary.
Good evening.
Evening.
On the flip side, I've been pretty fortunate the last few years, so, and hopefully we will continue to be. So I would request you suspend the rules and authorize me to continue to try and do what I do best. So see what we can do.
I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Steve?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes. Also, item 12, if you would, please. Read and, number and read.
Resolution number 8, 2026, a resolution authorizing the clerk treasurer to advertise for bids for the project known as 2026 Pavement Marketing Program.
The first of four that we're going to do, just our striping program was $135,000 last year. We're budgeting $150,000 for it. Suspend the rules and we'll get it out for bids.
Curious question. How big is this? Because I read this and I was wondering, is this like every street? Is this specific streets? I mean, do we,
Pretty much every road that has stripes on it, we do every year to meet
Okay.
the state's retroreflectivity requirements.
oh, then I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes. It's good.
Resolution number 9,
Thank-
2026,
Thank you.
Resolution authorizing the clerk treasurer to advertise for bids for the project known as 2026 street improvement of Rollins Street and Baker Street from West High Street to West Bryan Street.
We're going to do the 100 blocks of both of these streets, full depth removal, new curb and gutter, drive approaches, sidewalks, $540,000 estimated cost, budgeted line item.
I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Rick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Mary?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
John?
Yes. Doing a very good job, Pat.
Yes,
Much
you
better,
are.
much better than the president.
We're just all on a roll.
Keep it rolling.
Item number 14?
13.
Oh,
14.
14.
it's 14, I think.
Listen, don't correct him when he's right.
I got it rolling.
I'm out.
It's one.
This is resolution number 10, 2026. A resolution authorizing the clerk treasurer to advertise for bids for the project known as 2026 street improvement of West Trevitt Street and part of the 100 block of East Beaumont Street.
Same thing, we're going to redo 2 blocks of West Trevitt Street and a little bit of East Beaumont Street. We're going to wait on the water department to replace the water line on Beaumont Street, but we're going to help them. We're going to replace the first half where there's broken concrete through there, put that in as asphalt. We need to help the police get their donuts in that block. So we need to get the path to John's Donuts opened up, so I
That
would
was really rude.
request, well, I like donuts too, so engineering and police both.
I think
I was
it's
thinking
more
by Saturday
engineering.
mornings, you know?
So
I predict a ticket in your
It
future.
is probably coming, so yeah. So we need to hurry up and get this project done. So I would request you suspend and approve, please.
I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Mary?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
John?
Yes. Keep it rolling. 15?
Resolution number 11, 2026. A resolution authorizing the clerk treasurer to advertise for bids for the project known as 2026 asphalt program.
All right, so this project, we actually combined 2 budgeted line items. We took the asphalt program and the East Village improvements and combined them into one project because they're basically the same thing. We've been replacing East Village streets over the last few years. We basically leave the curb in and we tear out everything down to, it was bad subgrade in there. And basically we tear out like 200 feet at a time, put new stone in and put asphalt in. And it just made sense to do it all with the paving program. So it's a $920,000 estimate, and we had $500,000 budgeted for each item. So basically, we're going to do in the East Village area, basically the rest of that neighborhood. So Bavarian from Union to Palmer, Colonial from Union to Palmer, and Auburn from Wilson to Bavarian. So that'll take the rest of that neighborhood. And the paving program this year will be La Glida Court, which is basically a dead end, Olive Drive, which is a dead end, and East Maple Street from Toy to Union. So that's what this project will be, $920,000 estimate.
I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I'll move to approve.
And I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can number and read item 16, resolution.
This is resolution number 12, 2026, titled, "A Resolution Approving the Community Reinvestment Area Tax Exemption Application as Submitted by Cross Rifles LLC."
Good evening.
evening.
Cross Rifles applied for a CRA for interior renovation at 127 South Walnut Street. This is for his indoor gun range. As you can see, the next item is the building permit. They are ready to get started, and hopefully it will be starting later this week.
I'll move to suspend.
I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Oh, that was Steve.
Yes.
Jim? Steve?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Rick?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
John?
Yes. Item 17, the building permit.
I have 2 permits for you tonight. The first is for Luke Allen, Cross Rifles. Wagler and Associates will be doing the work. Like I said, this is an interior renovation of 2,807 square feet. State construction type is 3B. State use group is B and M. Any questions on that one? The second permit is for Max Nyhart. This is for 701 Brunicardi Way, Docks Diesel. Theo Construction is doing the work. State construction type is 2B. State use group is B and S1. Cost for the project is $5 million. This is a new building consisting of 42,548 square feet.
So this is like a new building,
On the North Industrial Park docks.
yes, okay,
So, yeah, a partial permit was already issued. They got a final from the state.
that's
The
what I
building's about done.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the other
What
part
was
that confused me.
confusing,
So,
So the state takes a very long time to get these final
It's okay.
permits.
I
And we wait for
understand.
the state.
and they did run into construction delays last year as well,
Yeah.
so.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll move to approve. I'll second.
Are we approving both?
Yes.
Yes.
Clarify, okay. Rick?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mary? John?
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
are we ready?
Yeah, but I'm actually going to ask Wes to come up for a brief moment.
Sure.
So, council, I want to introduce you. We have Scott and John here from Courtney and Associates. Scott's in the row. Mr. Courtney is there. I think some of you have met him before, but he does a lot of our rate studies for BMU in the city, depending on the utility we're talking about. Because it's been so long, I wanted Wes to come up here and give a brief reminder to everyone on what project has been going on at wastewater to require the rate study that we're going to be addressing this evening. Thank you so much for the last-minute request from the mayor. You're my favorite wastewater superintendent.
I'm the only one you've ever had.
That's why I can say that.
Good
But I'd
evening,
say it
council.
anyway.
Evening.
Good evening.
So as the mayor said, mostly what's driving this increase this time around is the construction project that you're all familiar with that we have going on out there. That project consists of replacing 3 sets of old tankage out there and 2 buildings specifically. And we squeezed those things as far as we dare squeeze them. They were getting really rough, and so we had to pull the trigger on it. We've been looking at this for a decade, and kind of planning forward. But time has gotten here, and we're in the midst of it at this point. I think the plan right from the beginning was to take a look at the rates and just make sure that we had what we needed to do to service the debt on it. And that's where we stand tonight with it. And again, the mayor just wanted me to kind of refresh on it for everybody and anybody that might be reading the paper. So if you don't have any questions, I'll turn it over to John. Thank you.
So, Mr. Courtney, you have a paper copy of your stuff,
I do.
okay, it is behind you, but I'm going to press,
Follow
if
along. you
don't mind.
Okay, well, first off, before I start, I want to thank the mayor for providing this nice table for me to sit at.
We didn't want you to have to try to stand.
Yeah, since I was last here, I've had some major back surgery, and I'm still in recovery process. So I certainly appreciate that. And this microphone, am I on or off, or do I need to push a
You are
button?
on.
I'm
You're on.
Okay,
I
All
made
right.
sure when I ran up here from the BPA meeting.
all right. Well, it wasn't lit, so I didn't know for sure, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and as Wes said, actually, we kind of anticipated this in the last rate study we did, and we started kind of a phased-in increase in your sewer rates in anticipation of this major project you're doing at the wastewater treatment plant. But we knew that, we were going to have to come back and address it once the project was kind of finalized, you knew what the final costs were going to be, you knew what the debt service was going to look like, and the funding arrangement. And that's kind of where we're at here today. So if we go to the second slide, and by the way, I apologize to those that were here the last time we did the rate study, because a lot of these slides are going to look familiar with just some new numbers, but and it makes it convenient for us. So slide 2, which is hopefully on the screen, is the scope of services for the study. Basically, we start with what we call the data acquisition verification step, where we basically are going to look at historical, and update our model for historical operating and financial data. And we do a little bit of analysis of that to make sure the data kind of makes some sense, especially on the billing side, and kind of verify that, what you're collecting seems to be consistent with your rates, and we did find that to be the case. I might add, too, that the financial reports we get here are always, exactly what we need, so didn't really have any issues with regard to any of the data acquisition or verification process. The next step, then, is to do what we call the revenue requirement analysis. I'll get a little more detail of that here in a little bit. We follow that up with a cost of service analysis, where we're going to allocate those revenue requirements to each of the customer classes and kind of compare revenues to cost of service. And then the next step is to review your rates and, if need be, design adjustments. And then the last one is here tonight to present the results. So on slide 3, with regard to the projected revenue requirement analysis, the first step is to project sales. And again, we'll kind of walk through that here a little bit. And from that, then we can project revenues at current rates. And following that, then, we take a look at your revenue requirement, or as I'd say, what it costs to operate and maintain the wastewater system here in the city of Bryan. The last step, then, is determine the overall revenue adjustment that would be needed to meet those projected revenue requirements. So on slide 4, with regard to projected sales, you provide us separation of sales basically by 2 classes, residential and then the rest being commercial industrial sales. And what we found was, due to 2020, the COVID pandemic, we saw a bit of a drop in your commercial industrial sales. Residential pretty much maintained where it was at, but we did see a drop in the commercial industrial sales. But based on the data we've got for the last couple of years, it looks like you're back where you were pre-COVID. So that's what we was reflected in the model. As the last bullet says, we're assuming 0 growth in sales. I mean, I heard about a building permit, for example, and I know you've got a little bit of activity going on, but to be conservative for rate purposes, unless there's something major in the way of new water users, we're typically going to be conservative and assume 0 growth, and that's what we've done for the study. So on slide 5, you'll see then the projected sales in hundreds of cubic feet for each of those 2 classes, the residential, commercial, industrial, and you can see it's split about almost 50-50. So about half your sales are residential, half your sales are commercial, industrial, out of a total of about 466,100 cubic feet. And do need to point out that as the footnote says, your unmetered and basically then your Williams County accounts as well are all included in the residential. So in slide 6. Now that we've projected sales, we can project revenues based on your current rates. And you can see we're projecting residential revenues at about $1,480,000, commercial industrial at $667,000, and total revenues, combined revenues, about $2,147,000. So, and as the footnote points out, that reflects rates that basically been in effect since December 20th of 22. So you've not had a rate increase basically in 3 years, a little over 3 years. So if we go to slide 7, now that we've basically projected revenues, next step is to project revenue requirements. And we've got a couple options here. We can use what we call a cash basis or a utility basis. And I just kind of explain the differences. A cash basis, which is the way you basically do your accounting internally, basically looks at all expenses. So we include, for example, in the revenue requirement, capital outlay expense. We include principal on debt, as well as the interest. On a utility basis, on the other hand, which is basically what a lot of, the regulated utilities would use, for example, at the Public Utilities Commission, they use what we call a utility basis. And under that arrangement, they don't get to recover directly capital outlay in their rates, and they don't get to recover principal retirement of any of their debt. What they do get, though, is an allowance for depreciation, kind of offsets some of that, and they get a return on their investment. And so, we can use that utility basis, but what we find is, if that utility basis results in a lower revenue requirement than the cash basis, you're going to go broke. I mean, you eventually run out of cash because you're spending more than what you're bringing in. On the other hand, if we use the utility basis and it says, well, we could justify a higher revenue requirement than the cash basis, well, then you're going to accumulate cash, and obviously you don't want your customers paying more than they need to pay. So for most municipalities, unless they're regulated and told otherwise, we would use a cash basis. So we took a look at the historical data, tried to normalize that. Found it to be pretty consistent because we actually completed the analysis in 2025 and just got here to present it. We did use the 2025 budget. We didn't have the benefit of your 2026 budget, obviously, before we finalized the report. We did build in an inflation factor of 3%, but I will say that kind of at the last minute, last year, you made some adjustments for wages for employees out of the wastewater department, and that were a little higher than 3%. So we adjusted our projections to reflect that additional increase that you're giving for wages in the wastewater department. So that's been captured in the projections. We do provide allowance for capital improvements, which we got from Wes, kind of a plan for those that would be paid out of cash. And then on slide 8, we do include debt service, as I said, so we had some existing debt. But as you'll see on the upcoming slide, the big piece that really is driving the need to increase rates is that wastewater treatment plant improvement project that you're undertaking. So now all of those expenses we add up and we credit against them things like interest income and other miscellaneous charges and things of that type. So as you'll see on the next slide, slide 9, hopefully. I apologize for the small numbers, but we wanted to get as much on one page as we could. This is basically the breakout of the projected revenue requirements. Again, we showed 2025, even though we know it's over, but that's kind of the numbers we started from and escalated from those numbers. Just to kind of point out, aside from the debt, the capital outlay looks a little unusual, and I think somebody maybe mentioned that because your capital project that was being paid for out of cash, you also have offsetting revenue, and you'll see that in 2025. So you had a big offsetting loan proceeds that came in to offset that big capital outlay expense. But going forward, for capital outlay, we're only showing that capital outlay that would be funded out of cash, would not be funded out of debt. Now, obviously, your single largest cost is personal services expenses. But again, as I said, down at the very bottom there, debt service new, that's the roughly $15 million OWDA loan for 20 years at 1%. Which adds about $800,000 plus to your revenue requirement. So now we are showing that starting in 2027, based on a completion date that would be in late 2026. So I assume we're still in that time frame.
That's the plan.
That's the plan, right, Wes? So in slide 10, this kind of gets us down to the end of the revenue requirement. But basically, we compare then the revenue requirement in the first column to the revenue at current rates, and where you see a black number there, obviously that means your revenues are exceeding revenue requirement, but where you see the red numbers, that's showing a shortfall. So starting in 27, when that new debt kicks in, we're showing a shortfall of about $880,000, and then out in 2029, it actually drops a little bit because some of the existing debt rolls off, but you end up at about $807,000. So if we look at slide 11, our conclusions with regard to the revenue requirement analysis are that the revenue at current rates are not sufficient to meet the projected near-term revenue requirements, and primarily due to inflation and the debt service on the associated with the wastewater treatment plant improvement, revenues would need to be increased by approximately $40,000 or 40%, in order to meet the projected near-term revenue requirements. So, any question I get? So the recommendation on slide 12 would be to increase revenues overall by approximately 10% a year over the next 4 years. So we could phase this in. And keep in mind, we're talking about 10%, that's 10% of current revenues. So, we're not talking about a compounding effect. It's just 10% of the current revenue each year, we would increase revenues by that amount. And then obviously would be to update the revenue requirement analysis periodically and adjust if needed in the future, so. So with that, before we talk about cost of service, are there any questions?
Well, I do have a comment because I made it to John and Pat earlier, and my understanding is you cleared it up for me, and if I could share that, it may help council as well. If you look at the actual numbers, it looked like it was higher than 10%, but it was explained to me, which I think you explained to them, that there is a combined 1/3 of apparently almost 16% and 2/3 of 7.3%, which gets you to that 10%. So you can't just look at page 22 numbers and say 10% because that looks more.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate depiction?
Yeah, let me kind of get
I'm
to that.
sorry.
No, you're fine.
You asked for a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. But yeah, let me kind of get through the cost of service and rates, and then we'll kind of talk
I know.
about that, so, okay.
Sorry, so you
Yeah.
had stated earlier, it's been 3 years since we did our last rate.
No, it's that last rate increase, yeah, it's been
Right.
about 5 years or so since we did the last study, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, looking at this, if we do this rate increase, we can get at least another 4 years out before we'd have to,
Adjust them again, that, yes, based on what we have in the model, it appears you could get through 2029 without needing another rate increase.
okay.
But
You know what-
assuming you adopt the rates that are being proposed.
Yeah, and honestly, there's intention of us to stay on this, and if we need it, to be a little more proactive on it, but the problem was we didn't exactly know how much we needed for a while. Like, there was a lot of back and forth numbers on the wastewater cost for this project, and then, there was a delay on our end getting with John. So some of that, it was like probably a year and a half of it was just kind of messing around with knowing what the numbers were in the financing, so. Otherwise, we probably would have just incremented like 2% and 2%, but because we didn't know, we didn't want to throw a random target and say, this sounds good to us. I mean, we don't want to overcharge customers. But yeah, we'll be through 29, so probably at the end of 28, we'll probably be calling him again, and the hope is that maybe it won't be a significant increase. Right, Wesley? We think? We think?
So I would add to what the mayor's saying here. At the delay, you have to get through a preliminary design to even have any idea what the cost might be. And it's always high, always a surprise, and we have our modus operandi at the wastewater plant is to run our equipment and run our tanks and run our buildings until we know we don't have a lot of time left. And so between those two things, that's how we've been aware of it for a decade, looking at it, watching things slowly fail and trying to gauge where we gotta be. So that put us where we were at with not just raising the rates starting back after the last increase. At the end of the day, if we just tick it up 2% or 3% or whatever, we don't know for sure. I can't tell you today for sure this piece of equipment will be fully worn out 10 years from now. So that's why we take this approach, because otherwise, again, like John said, we don't want to have people paying money into a system sooner than what they need to do it. So there's a little bit of hocus pocus in it and us watching it, and there's just no way to kind of tick up there automatically. And that's how we end up in this flat line. We didn't do anything, and now we gotta adjust it. And it makes the number look big. It's the same number that it would have been had we known what we were gonna need and started collecting it 10 years ago. Ends up in the same spot either way.
Yeah.
So just to reiterate, that is what I'm trying to do right now.
I do not remember, does anybody remember what the rate was, increased 3 years ago, percent-wise? Was it like 3, 5?
I don't think that was pandemic time, like I tried to block that out. I'm gonna be honest.
No, it's okay. I was just more curious, as the public
Because I
would be
think our
interested.
last
We had a
study was
3% increase
19.
3 years ago. Now we're having a 10% increase for the next, 4 years or whatever? And then explain why, which is because not only inflation, but more, probably more significantly maybe, John, the improvements that are needed.
The
Which-
Yeah, it's the debt
size
service.
of the project.
Exactly.
Yeah, this one's a big one.
Yeah, well, I think what's big is it needs to be explained to, as much as we can, to the public.
Well, and I think when the public hears, you're getting a 40% increase on your rates. Well, yes, but that is spread out over 4 years. So
Right.
it's a 10% this year, and then a 10% next year, and then a 10% the following year. So it's not a lump sum of 40% in, 3.5 weeks or a month and a half or whatever. It's tapered. And when we get to the further slides too, I think that's important when you actually see what that dollar amount is.
Yes, exactly.
Because it
Page
sounds
23.
very shocking, but
No, but I mean,
But
yeah,
that 10%, the whole point behind the 10, and so forth is because we
what's
have
the
this
debt
new
service on the
project,
project that was
the
required?
3 tanks, the 2 new buildings, and when we've got this all in place, then ideally, this
We're never going to say
this
that
increase helps pay
everything's
for that.
brand new in wastewater, but yeah.
I mean, this particular work we're doing right now has a very long lifespan. So you're talking 60 or 80 years for these particular pieces. And we're replacing things that are 60 and 80 years
Right.
old. So, again, like we won't be back, none of us will be sitting here when these particular pieces need
We
replaced
promise.
again. But there's a lot of other equipment out there, so, we'll always have to do things, and we're in a constant state of repair and replacement out there. It just never stops. So this just happens to be some of the more major expense items that we have to deal with this time around. And another thing that I would build on what the mayor's saying here, 10% sounds like a lot until you look at what you pay for
Right.
sewer here. It's really, and I don't know if either of you know, it's kind of outside of my purvey. John may have known like what the average sewer bill here is in town, but let's
It's
just
on
say
a
it's.
Well,
slide.
it's
It's
on
com-
page
it's
23.
coming up.
Okay, all right, well then.
it's on page 23, actually.
Yeah.
Are you
Okay.
guys, more discussion, or are we good for more slides?
So when you're talking, sorry,
No.
when you're talking about the things that you have to upkeep, the first thing that comes to mind is I remember one of my first meetings here, and you were talking about I'm going to call them blades, you were talking about how the wear and tear on those. That's,
Screw pumps, yep.
yeah, those are the type of things that you're talking about that you're going to constantly have to maintain.
Yep.
This isn't one of those 60 or 80-year things that you're
Right.
talking about. This is, and that type of maintenance to address that type of wear and tear is also included in these numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that a true?
Yeah, that's our understanding. Yeah, we got a 5-year capital plan that basically showed, replacement improvement, ongoing replacement and improvements. Now, that said, we don't anticipate, or we're not seeing here any major improvements like you're currently going through. So barring any major, multi-million-dollar type improvements in the next 4 years, the plan here should work, so, yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's something that is critical that people have to understand.
Yeah.
You have kept the cost of our sewer down because you have maintained what we had since the 40s.
Right.
And now that has all come to the end of its life. We had a major repair with those lids a couple of years ago, and now with this project, and unfortunately, everything just has a life expectancy, and you have monitored, and it's just come to the end of its life. I don't want to pay any more for my sewer than anybody else does, or, like everybody else. But I understand that.
We want to flush.
Yes, yes. You have done a good job of maintaining what we've had. The cost of repairing is going to outweigh the benefits of replacing at this point, and that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about cost of service. And basically, the cost of service analysis, as I said before, we're going to take those revenue requirements that we just discussed. We're going to allocate those revenue requirements to the residential and the commercial industrial classes. And then we're going to compare the allocated cost to the revenues that we get from those classes to see, are we getting the right amount of revenue from, the various customer classes. Now, slide 13, I think that's hopefully where you're at. This just gives you kind of the basic outlay or layout of how we do a cost of service analysis. We actually utilize an AWWA methodology called Base Extra Capacity Method, and I'm not going to bore you to death with all the details of how that works, but suffice it to say that it basically is a kind of an industry standard on how to allocate cost to various customer classes for water and wastewater systems. So if we go to the next slide, in that cost of service study, we break out cost into three basic functions, what we call base cost, and then extra capacity costs, and customer-related costs. Customer-related costs, for the most part, are going to be things like, getting meter readings in, billing the customer, collecting money, that type of thing, and other service things that take place with regard to, service problems. If a customer has a problem and calls in, needs somebody to come out and see them, that type of thing. Base costs are going to be those costs that basically get you through the average day, or are needed for average day. But in a wastewater system, average day isn't always, it's not the same every day. The flow is going to increase, primarily when you have high, rainfall events. And so you have to have extra capacity to handle that. And so we kind of break through formulas how to break that cost out. We break out those extra capacity costs and allocate them a little differently than we allocate base costs. And so, but those are the three basic functions. You can see the percentage that they each represent. This next slide, slide 15, then shows you kind of the results of the cost of service analysis. And like I said, here we're going to compare revenue at current rates, that first column, to the cost of service results, which are in the second column, and then, show you the under or over recovery. Obviously, we're looking at, almost a 40% under recovery to begin, under recovery to begin with. But of that, it says that the residential class really should only, look at needing to go up about 14%, commercial industrial about 90%. And by the way, this is not really any different than what we saw in the last one, although the numbers were even further spread apart. We tried to address that a little bit in the last rate study and tried to bring this, your revenue distribution closer to the cost of service. And as you'll see later, that's what we're going to suggest again. You never really get to cost of service. Obviously, we were to do that, your commercial industrial customers would be filling the aisle out here. But we try to move in that direction. What we don't want to do, though, is make an adjustment to rates that moves us away from cost of service. And so, like I say, I'll talk about that in a little bit. But slide 16 just gives you kind of the graphical results that I just showed you in the numbers. And you can see with a 40% overall increase, residential really would only need to go up about 14, but commercial industrial would need to go up 90. Obviously, we're not going to get all the way there, but we're going to try to move in that direction. So slide 17 then, with regard to the cost of service, commercial industrial classes, we say are being subsidized by residential class. It's a little bit misnomer. It means, that, again, commercial industrial should see a bigger increase percentage-wise than the average. Residential should see less of a percentage increase than the average. We did note, though, that the base cost of service shows that your base cost is significantly higher than your current commodity rate. And so certainly that's something we want to take a look at in the rate adjustments. And as I said earlier, future rate adjustments should move towards cost of service and certainly not away from it. So slide 18. Any questions on the cost of service before we talk about rates? Okay, slide 18 basically is a review of your current rates and then design adjustments that are going to be needed to meet the future revenue requirements. So Slide 19, that's your current inside rate, and I'm not going to go in a lot of detail on each of these charges, but basically you have a two-component rate in the wastewater. You have a usage, or what we call a commodity rate. It's based on the volume, and the default volume is water usage for most of your customers, because that's really about the only way to meter, what their usage is. There are some cases where you may meter actual wastewater discharge on, maybe on large industrial customers, but for the most part, we're using water usage as a default for the commodity charge. Service charges then are based on the size of the water line service. The theory being that the bigger the line service, the more load, more capacity requirement needed to serve that customer. And as you can see, those increase based on the size. So, the current, for 1 inch or less is $24.75 a month, and for an 8 inch is almost $1,300. So again, we're trying to, if you remember that extra capacity cost I talked about in the cost of service, that's where we're trying to kind of pick up some of that extra capacity cost is through this service charge, So, and again, as I said before, the current rates became effective back in December 20th, 2022. Now, your outside rates are currently 25% higher, and you can see what those are reflected there on slide 20. So with regard to the rates, review, our conclusions and recommendations are that the usage rate is substantially lower than the base cost of service, and that a way to remedy this is to recover half of the revenue increase through your usage charge and the other half through the service charge. And this kind of gets to your point, John. The commodity revenue that you collect is about 1/3 of your total revenue. The service charge is about 2/3 of your revenue. And by putting half of the overall increase of dollars onto each component, we're actually increasing that commodity charge by a much bigger percentage. In fact, if you do the math, it's going to come out to about 16%.
Yeah.
And the service charges are going to go up about a little over 7%. And so, but the result is, by doing it that way, we're going to be then putting more of the increase on the bigger users, the commercial industrial users, which is what the cost of service study told us we need to do. So that's basically, what we're going to recommend.
John?
Yes.
Sorry.
No, go right ahead.
Sorry for not understanding this.
Yep.
When you say inside rates and outside rates, what's the difference?
So
Sorry.
there are people that are annexed in the city of Bryan, like us. And then there are folks that do not live in the city of Bryan or are not annexed in, that do not pay income tax and certain things, but have our services. For example, Bona Vesta, the entire subdivision, we actually handle their wastewater. So the county gets billed for all of their wastewater by a meter, correct? They're actually metered. So there's areas outside of the city limits. I think Lakeland Woods, we may actually do all of the wastewater for too, is that correct? No?
Halleck's edition.
Halleck's edition, okay. So there's certain areas that are not in the city limits that have our utilities. And those are the ones that get the 25% extra.
A couple islands, like out on Center Street, there's a couple houses that aren't
Yeah,
annexed in.
Town Line, there's some that are not annexed
If you don't live
in.
in the city, you pay a premium.
And part of it is because you're not paying income tax.
Taxes.
And the other part is, some of them, we have to run the lines further. It costs more for us to get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, John.
No, that's fine. So I think we're on slide 22, and this is where the proposed rate, and again, I apologize for these small numbers, but again, we wanted to get it all on one page for you. So again, we're proposing a 4-year phase-in of the increase, approximately 10% a year, 10% of current revenues. And you can see then for the commodity charge, for the inside, current rate is $1.45. We're proposing that to go to $1.68 in 2026, $1.90 in 2027, $2.13 in 2028, and $2.35 in 2029. So roughly a 23-cent increase in the commodity charge each year. And this is where, like I said, we're not compounding the increase. It's just the same increase of each of those years. For the capacity charges, again, I won't go through all the detailed numbers. And as I said earlier, It's about a little over 7% increase in the capacity charges or service charge, and about almost a 16% increase in the commodity charge. And that will move us, like I said, move the rates basically towards the cost of service results. So I think slide 23 then kind of points this out. So for a residential user using 500 cubic feet, and by the way, that's a little higher than your average, but you can see the bill for the 500 cubic feet is currently $32 a month. Your average user is more like 4.4, so it's a little closer to $30. And you can see that the increase for 2026 for that residential customer would go to $34.96, or roughly a 9% increase. In 2027, it would go to $37.88, or a total of 18%. For 2028, it would go up to $40.84, or a 28% overall increase for 3 years. And then 2029, $43.75, and it would be about a 37% increase. So. And those percentages would be a little lower if we used the actual average usage of 4.4 100 cubic feet, so.
That 37% is across the entire.
No, that's just that particular customer. Again, the smaller the user, residential user, the lesser percentage, the more they use, they're going to see, they could see, or they will see a higher percentage, because we put a bigger percentage increase on the commodity rate.
So it's an average.
So it's not an
Like, the house
average.
in my house might use more because
Yeah.
our kids shower longer.
I was going to say, my house does use more.
Yeah.
It's 4.5% average. I laugh
Yeah,
at, because that's not even accurate.
right.
Well, yeah, but that's the average for the city.
Yeah.
And the average residential user for the city is
Yeah.
440 cubic feet.
Yeah.
But I think that what I wanted to point out, though, is if you look at the commercial and the industrial comparisons, you'll see that over the 4 years for commercial, it's a 47% increase, and for the industrial, 56%. Now, we didn't get to that 90% number that the cost of service says, but we're moving that direction. And that's really the idea here. And when you come back, in 4 years or so, or 3 or 4 years, my guess is you're going to see the same thing if you do a cost of service study, and you're going to want to do the same thing. You're going to want to continue to kind of put more of an increase on the commercial industrial rate, on the commodity rate, than on the service charge, which would be, less of an increase than on the residentials. So I think I'm down to the summary page. So basically, what we, in conclusion, we project revenues at current rates are not sufficient to meet the projected revenue requirements, and that we are recommending that you increase revenues by approximately 10% each year over the next 4 years to meet those revenue requirements. And do that by adopting the proposed rates, which move the revenue distribution towards the cost of service results. And then again, in a few years, obviously, you're going to need to take a look at this again as you get closer to the end of the 4-year increase. So I think that gets me to the proverbial question mark, so.
It does.
I'll try to answer any other questions you might have.
Questions?
So I
If
don't-
not, obviously, we want to do 3 readings on this so the information can get out and people can come and ask questions or express their concerns. So we won't at this time take any action, is that correct?
Well, so first of all, I want to thank John and also Pat and John. John Leonard was supposed to try to meander over here from the BPA meeting. I'm not sure they're done yet. They've been working on this for quite a many months, trying to make sure that you guys have really accurate numbers. So thank you for that. But actually, if you wouldn't mind having Pat number and read for first.
For the first reading?
That would be appreciated.
Yeah, as long, I didn't want someone doing the resolution yet.
Yes.
So do we have a motion to,
Well, actually, if you would just ask Pat to number and read. Item number 19.
thank you for that.
So this is ordinance number 4, 2026. An ordinance amending Bryan Codified Ordinance Section 929.03 A, B, and F pertaining to residential, commercial, and industrial sewer rates within the city of Bryan and repealing existing section 929.03 A, B, and F. Further amending section 929.05 A, B, and C pertaining to residential, commercial, and industrial sewer rates outside the city, and repealing existing section 929.05 A, B, and C, and declaring an emergency. Be for the first reading.
Okay, so if there's no more discussion, Mr. Betts, can move on.
Just go on to number 20.
Yes, sir.
Pat, do you want to number and read?
This is ordinance number 5, 2026. An ordinance approving the form of an easement agreement with Eatree Foundry LLC, a Florida limited liability company for use and occupancy of specified city property for construction and operation of a solar generating facility, the output of which will be sold to Bryan Municipal Utilities under a power purchase agreement.
So this, again, I'm going to punt to John Courtney, but I'm going to give you a brief reminder. There has been, for the last couple of years, discussion on power and how we're going to create some more power generation within the community after our BP grant for the electric department expired. So the Director of Utilities had contacted some city management team and was able to locate some property on the wastewater treatment plant. I believe it was 4 acres. Is that correct? Ish?
A little more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
6, maybe.
6? Okay. And so,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like, yeah,
how much?
14 acres, yeah.
Way off. Wow, okay. So 15-ish acres. And you guys had at a previous meeting granted them the ability to get access to the property in order to do some technical surveying and all of those things. So that's been going well. BPA, I believe, just passed authorization to let them start their project. Is that correct? What are we?
They approved, they passed a resolution to approve the purchase power agreement.
Power purchase agreement? Purchase power?
Purchase power agreement, yeah.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. Okay, so what we're asking you is actually to grant them an easement on the wastewater treatment property. And this is something that Wes and Derek and John Coyle, have you worked on it much?
Yes, yeah, well, I'll give more of the credit to John Coyle.
John Coyle.
From a legal standpoint, but yeah, I've reviewed it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So most of these discussions were me just making sure all of our teams were communicating. So does anybody have anything to add or any concerns, or have we cleared up all of this stuff?
Everything's good on our end, yes.
Okay, so council, we would respectfully request that you pass this request for them to have this easement agreement signed so that Eatree can continue with the solar field generating facility project out at the wastewater treatment plant.
I might add real quick,
You
Mayor,
can
too.
add everything.
It's also been reviewed by the city attorney. In fact, he actually signed the document already in anticipation of approval, but yeah, he reviewed this document as well, so.
Well, I'll move to suspend.
And I'll second.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes,
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes,
and I'll move to approve.
And I'll second.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
John?
yes. Item 21 is a motion to reschedule the time for our February 2nd council meeting to 6:30, I believe. Was that correct?
Yes, 6:30, please.
If we could have a motion and a second.
I'll move that we reschedule our February 2nd meeting to 6:30.
I'll second.
Rick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Excellent.
What was that?
And
That's okay for
I'm
me to
sorry?
vote on that, right?
What?
But that's okay for me to vote on that since,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a conflict. You're fine.
rest of the stuff's annual reports, et cetera. So, yeah, well, should we go around the room?
Well, you are the council president, so you get to decide.
Let's go around the room. The power of this
You are the
position
boss.
is just making me drunk. We usually start with you, I can't remember.
Yeah,
Sorry, Mary.
it has been the Monday-ist Tuesday in a while. I do want to let you know that we are going to start annual reports, so there will be 2 department heads giving those at the next council meeting, so be prepared for that. Want to, again, thank Courtney and Associates for joining us this evening and all the work they've done for the solar field and wastewater treatment, and also Wes as well, and John and Pat. Outside of that, I think that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Any of the city folk? Way to make it on time, John.
Yeah.
You know I'm there for you, right? Sometimes.
I actually complimented you, but you weren't here, so we just are never going to do it again.
I mean, if I have the opportunity, I would like to thank Pat for filling in on this massive agenda.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot of resolutions. Thank you, Pat.
Not do it again.
Press?
Just, I missed the Trevitt Street estimate. Do you have that?
290. 290.
Thanks.
I'm good.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming and for the work. I pawed over this quite extensively, and I was very impressed. I'm going to be more impressed if, as you can tell, what worries me is communicating to the community the need. That's rather obvious, but it's not obvious if you aren't part of this. So we need to really communicate that, I think, as to what's happening in the value, and then the issue being inflation and the need for replacing 60 to 80-year-old facilities and equipment, or we won't be able to. We'll go back to outdoor. We can't, actually. State of Ohio wouldn't allow that.
Not
So
let you do that.
not in the city, so we can't even do that. If there's no other comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Steve?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
John?
Yes.